So, this is going to be the last one?
Last one, folks.
Ooh,
Carl and Mike
man.
hit 100 and dropped the mic on Inauguration Day because we said, fuck it, we can't handle this shit.
Yeah, no, we can't handle this shit. Yeah, that's an appropriate
You know,
time.
some people stay and fight and other people run.
Yeah,
We're the
running.
runners.
Leave your unapologetic hunger for power at the door. It's time for Carl and Mike.
Welcome to Carl and Mike. I'm Carl.
Mike.
And we are back at the Homestead, the place where it all began.
That's right.
White Rock Coffee.
White Rock Coffee. It's noisier. You're probably going to hear that, but that's, one of the reasons.
It's kind of grown, White Rock Coffee.
Oh, it has. And they're putting a Starbucks right now.
Yeah,
Have you
like
said
two
that?
doors down. 2 doors down for
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Yeah. 2 doors down from Starbucks, and I think the neighborhood is going to support this. I don't think they're going to.
So you think
Go to
Starbucks is
Starbucks.
going to go down?
No, I think
'Cause there's enough traffic.
Starbucks is Starbucks, and it's got a buttload of money behind it. You know, there's still going to be a lot of people that are bagging Starbucks in the morning when they're coming in.
Starbucks likes to be close to other coffee. I remember when I lived in Vancouver, BC, there was a street corner that had and that was made Starbucks famous because they had a Starbucks on both opposite corners on the same intersection.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no
One on
kidding.
one side of the street, one on the other side of the street.
Wow.
That kind of got a lot of news on Starbucks.
Yeah,
you know,
well, they don't want
'cause
people to
everybody
walk across the street to have to
Yeah.
get their latte.
Right. It was made fun of, but it was successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Starbucks figures a lot of people going to coffee, and they'll pick up the other part, I guess.
So I really hope that it doesn't affect them. I like White Rock Coffee. I mean, it's a great place.
Yeah.
You know, it's a neighborhood. It's a neighborhood.
I do
and
too.
You can tell that it's busy as hell,
Right.
and that's
And a
what the
stream
noise
of
is.
drive-throughs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
stream of drive-throughs.
Yeah. So, but see, next door they're building something. I don't know what that's going to be.
That's going to be their office building for White Rock Coffee.
Oh, that's the office for White Rock.
Yeah.
Oh, so
and
they're.
then now they own the land, so the parking can go there.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they're basically saying, "Fuck you, Starbucks."
Yeah.
Not only are we going to stay, but we're going to put our office
right
here.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Good for
So
them.
the battle of the little guy
Yeah.
and the big guy.
Yeah.
It's going kind of across
It's-
America. Yeah. Well, here we are, our 100th, and ladies and gentlemen, our final episode.
Yeah. This is it.
We decided we've done 100, and we're here today on
Inauguration day for
Mr. the Brilliant Buffoon.
Yes, the brilliant buffoon.
You know, I woke up this morning and I turned on my Facebook and my Facebook feed. I have a friend that lives in, who's an old art director of mine, who's from Britain and lives in the UK.
Yeah.
And his post was the first post on my Facebook feed, and all it said was "Goodbye, America." Another friend had America born July 4th, 1776, died January 20th.
I mean, there are people that are
2017.
really fearful and concerned about this. I've been doing a lot of work lately with a friend of mine. We're building this kitchen in this old mid-century modern house, and we're redoing it. So it's a totally different kind of ball game. But the crew there is Hispanic, which a lot of construction crews are. And I think probably 80% of them are illegal. And we talked a little bit about it. One guy's from Guatemala. Other people are from Mexico. And one guy's actually talked about himself being, I think he said he was 3rd generation or 2nd generation. And you could tell, when you start coming up to somebody that you don't know and say, "Hey, where are you from?" Everybody gets real quiet and kind of doesn't want to talk about it. And then you go, Trump's an asshole. And then all of a sudden everybody wants to talk. Right. And I reached out my hand and I said, I want to welcome y'all here to this country. I said, I want you to know that not everybody feels this way. And it's not uncommon to find people. I said, not all gringos are assholes.
Yeah.
And I said, I told them the same thing I tell other people. that I know have come here from other parts of the world. I'm still in awe that somebody can leave everything, their friends, their family, their way of life behind, and come to this country
Search
for
of a better
something
life.
better. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have Hispanics come here, we got all these Mexican restaurants and Mexican culture, love that shit. People from the Middle East, we got, you get your falafels, you got your gyros, you got all kinds of stuff and the culture that they bring. People from India, dots,
A melting
not
pot,
feathers,
is what you're
the
saying.
Indians, yes.
Yes.
And and that's what makes it great. I would hate it if everybody in this country looked like the new Trump cabinet. White and over 60 and a billionaire. That would just
Or
completely
general.
blow.
Billionaire or general.
Unless, of course, I have the $1 billion. If I'm a billionaire, I'm all in.
So how bad do you think it's going to get with Trump?
Don't know.
You know,
Don't know. I mean, if people finally get his number and stand up to him and there's nothing he can do, he'll back down. He will. He's a bully. You can always get bullies to back down, but there has to be a consistency there, and there never has been. And people are afraid to be, all the politicians are afraid to have a tag hung on them like Little Marco or Low Energy Jeb. And if they would start wearing that as a badge, in fact, if Marco Rubio made some T-shirts that say Little Marco, and he wore them.
yeah. Well, Marco's going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
Take an attitude. Yeah. Well, I think, I'm kind of hope for the best, and to me, the best would be he just doesn't totally wreck the country or get us all killed.
Well, he's not going to get us all killed.
Well, no,
Yeah.
but
Still, we lived through Nixon.
yeah, and prepare for the worst. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and be prepared to stand up and fight.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, one of my daughters is going to go downtown this weekend and picket.
Yeah,
on
Suzanne's
Saturday.
going to a women's
yeah.
thing.
And I think my sister is, and a friend of Nita's at work is flying to D.C. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that are going to be at that. I'm anxious to see the contrast between the two
I actually know three
crowds.
people flying to D.C.
Yeah.
3 women flying to D.C.
Yeah. So if between the two of us here, we've heard of 4 people going,
Right.
there's a lot of people going to show up. So there's going to be some real interesting split screen TVs. Yesterday at the inauguration, today at the
Right.
women's protest against this,
Yeah.
talking yam.
It's just that it's to me it's not a Republican Democrat thing. It's a character thing.
Yeah.
He just doesn't represent what America's all about. He's the antithesis of what America's all about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about from a character standpoint, not even a policy standpoint. I have my own issues with this policy.
Yeah.
But I could deal with, I didn't agree with Mitt Romney's policies, but I
Yeah.
could deal with it. I wanted, I think this "not my president" thing is much deeper, and that's what I think the Trump supporters don't get. They just think this is a political thing.
Yeah.
This is about what this country stands for.
Yeah.
And to have a guy that's a narcissistic sociopath who's mentally, questionably unstable
Yeah.
and vindictive as hell,
Well, we're going to
and
find out.
authoritarianism.
We'll find out how. I mean, he will. He's not going to change. Everybody keeps saying he's going to change, become more president. No, he's going to play out his hand with the cards that he's got and
Right.
that got him into the game. He's
Right.
not going to change. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think these women that are accusing him are not going to go away. They had this lawsuit that all read.
Right.
I mean, if you've got somebody going after him, you want all red going after him as a lawyer.
Right.
And so we'll just see what happens. I
The Russia
think
thing.
The Russia thing.
Well, I mean, partially could go away with the new CIA chief and the new NSA
Yeah, but
chief.
they're going to have to be the one that pulled the plug on the They need to let it go, because if they pull the plug on it, it's going to look like they're covering it up or they're stopping something.
That's right.
So a lot of this stuff that I think Obama booby trapped the whole fucking place as he was leaving, and I think that's great.
And how do you think he booby trapped the whole place?
Well, that's part of it. Getting a lot of those kind of
getting that thing in motion.
Getting that thing in motion. I think let's see, what was it he did? He's pulled everybody out of Gitmo that he possibly can. I read this morning there's 41 left. You know how much?
42.
You know how much it's costing per year per prisoner to keep him in Gitmo? I read that this morning. Almost $11 million per prisoner per year to keep him in Gitmo. I'd say if that's a waste of money, either
why
release
couldn't they
those
gone to a
people or
Supermax,
bring them up
gone to Supermax?
because they don't want them on American soil.
It's a supermax fucking prison. Nobody's getting out.
Yeah.
Nobody's escaping.
Well, make a super max.
Okay.
Make it a big league. Make it a huge one. Put it. Build them. Build them in as part of the the fence to Mexico. I don't give a shit what you do, but if you want to talk about waste of money. That's a waste of money.
Yeah. So
I think Obama's probably done several things like that. That if he changes stuff, it's gonna really reinforce the impressions that people already have about him.
Yeah. It's just sometimes life seems to take over, and the series of events that got him there, from having a really weak candidate in Hillary, and just
I told you I was going to read that book, Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah.
And I did. Have you read that?
No, I haven't read it.
Anybody out there needs to read this book. And what it is, it's this guy talks about his family and his upbringing in Appalachia. Okay. And I think it was Kentucky. May have been West Virginia, one of those two. And the only thing that was really there for people to live off of was mining. Well, that's gone. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Just like people that build wagon wheels and people that build muskets.
That happened.
That shit's gone. So it ain't coming back. Just get over
horse-drawn carriages.
Yeah, we don't have horse-drawn carriage. Well,
not in any mass.
Amish still have it. Anyway. And so
it's always a niche market.
So what was happening is people from Ohio, in this, I think it was Dayton or Cincinnati or someplace like that, that's on the border. With the corporations were coming down to Kentucky and West Virginia and places like that and recruiting, saying, "We'll come up here and work in our factories." Well, they came up there and worked in the factories until that got automated out, right?
Right.
Okay, that got automated out. Jobs didn't go to Canada, didn't go to China, didn't go to Mexico. They got automated out, not coming back. And so they left their homes, which they always kind of had and it kind of broke up families, and it's kind of, there's an attitude about living in small towns like that they took with them to the city and never kind of got over. And I think you find that in East Texas. You have that, Mom read the book, and I talked to her, and there's no big industry out there.
Right.
It was farming, where you live off what you eat.
Right.
But if they wanted another job, they went somewhere else.
I agree. I think Trump partially is a stand against the progress that's happening with the way a lot of factories have left. A lot of things went globalization.
Well, what he said, did you hear what he said yesterday? He said, "I am just the messenger. I'm your voice. I'm just
Trump?
the messenger." Yeah, and what was brilliant about that is he's still playing to the crowd. But if anybody tries to tap him down,
Right.
he can say, "They're trying to tap you down, not me.
Right.
I'm just the humble messenger of it."
Yeah. It's not-
Which humble is not it, and So,
So anyway, we're here on our 100th and the final episode.
Yes.
And
what did you learn, Carl?
what did I learn from this experience?
Yeah.
I learned that we live in amazing times. It really is. Life is twists and turns and things. When we started, it was all hopey.
Hope and
I
change.
think we started talking together in '07, even though we didn't launch the podcast until 14.
Yeah.
And between '07 and today, I mean, it's been an amazing
Yeah.
twists and turns that you couldn't write.
No.
It's more fascinating than fiction.
Yeah.
And as far as the aspect of podcasting, that was a phenomenon, right? That was in its infancy when we started. Now it's evolved. There's a lot of things like this, but there's a lot more NPR type of radio
Well,
production.
yeah, you
shows.
basically, it started out, I think when we started out, it was most people who start their podcasts, they last how many, 7 episodes?
Yeah,
And
7.
then they shut it down.
Right.
Because that's as far as they can go. We're at 100. That's way more.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what the average is now. I'm sure it's more than 7. But back then it was like anybody could get into it.
Right.
And you can. I mean,
Yeah.
it's basically a couple of microphones, a digital recorder, some sort of software that you can edit this shit and then post it.
Yeah, and costs about $20 a month to host it, and
Yeah.
if you have a website, it costs you a little there, so you can do it for under $50 a month.
And there's all kinds of podcasts. One of the ones that I guess we were number one, don't get in this because you think you're going to make any money.
Yeah,
Don't even remotely think that.
especially if you're in an entertainment podcast.
Yeah. Well, and the one or topical discussions and shit like we did. If we had just, because we were talking about politics, sex, and religion, right?
Right.
Things your parents tell you not to talk about.
Right.
If we'd have probably just talked straight up sex, we'd have probably had a bigger audience.
We needed more sex shows, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Religion, you could have probably slanted that more towards the religious right. And
If we
and
wanted to get
gotten-
bigger audience, we
Yeah.
would have been
Yeah.
taken opposite positions on a lot of things.
Yeah. So it, but anyway, it's been interesting, the whole process. I mean, we went to those meetups. That group was real helpful, I
Yeah.
thought, and everybody was real inspired to do things.
So this was a podcast meetup group that we joined early on.
Yeah, one group was going to do just skateboards, right?
Yeah.
Just skateboarding.
There's a
Another
whole
guy
community
was,
for skateboarding.
Yeah, there was another guy that was going to do trucks or off-road kind of shit, right?
There's a guy who made a lot of money doing women's softball.
Yeah, women's softball, but he was
Not
also
just
selling
softball. We're talking women's softball.
women's softball.
Right.
Yeah, women's high school softball, right? Mostly.
Well, college, I think.
Yeah,
so, right?
college.
Women's softball.
Yeah. So he did a bunch of YouTube videos and has made evidently a bunch of money.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him count his Benjamins,
I
but
think I think the average podcaster is not going to make money at it.
yeah.
But I mean, there's ways to make money. It's a marketing. It can be a marketing channel for a business and stuff.
Well,
like
and then you have, like you said, NPR that gets into it, and they've got
they're getting
real,
a lot more production. High production
they have
quality.
money behind it that just, I mean, it's a job for these people. They're paid. We're not. It's something that we do because we've enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. I
You
mean, we didn't have the usual ways that you grow. It was just you and I. We didn't have
Yeah.
guests.
Right.
Just two guys talking and sharing ideas. And I look back at all the different episodes. I mean, we covered a lot of topics.
Yeah.
you know, and we weren't afraid to share our opinions about it. And I loved our humor and our thought leadership, and I feel like this last year our show got hijacked in a sense by Trump, because when I was looking at when we did the best of 2015, I mean, we really had a broad assortment. And if I look at the 2016,
mostly
over
politics.
50% is way
Yeah.
over 50% is politics, and way over 50% is Trump. I mean, he
Yeah.
was such a phenomenon,
Yeah, which
and continues to be.
which I think it wouldn't surprise anybody. I would say not only did it hijack, or we allow it to hijack the podcast,
Yeah.
but every
Media.
media,
Absolutely. He
CNN,
got billions and
MSNBC,
billions of
Fox,
free-
everybody,
Right.
it was hijacked. So
Till to this day, if he tweets and
well, and he's this is on one of the episodes called "Brilliant Buffoon." I mean, he really is a buffoon,
Right.
but or talking yam or whatever you want to label him.
Right.
But he also is brilliant about
Absolutely.
the way he
he's brilliant on marketing.
on marketing and the new media and building his so-called brand.
Yeah. Hey, I
And-
got to, I think the tweeting is a brilliant idea. I think the way what he tweets is abhorrent.
Yeah.
But if Obama would have tweeted during that healthcare thing and really educated the public through those
Yeah.
tweets, and every tweet he would have put out would have been
Yeah.
covered.
Well,
He
yeah.
would have, that
Yeah.
healthcare bill would be alive.
Well, I think
today.
that's a lesson that everybody went to school. Everybody learned this last year.
Yeah.
Everybody had a master's course on that,
Yeah.
and because of that, everybody's going to be doing it. And because everybody's going to be doing it,
Right.
it's not going to be as effective.
Right. Right.
It's not going to be near as
And
effective.
you have to.
because
He
at
was
some
the
point-
first to do it. He saw
Yeah.
the ability to communicate directly to
Yeah.
the public, and in a real easy way. It turns out, unfortunately,
Yeah.
It really also gave us a window into his psyche, and I think that's
Yeah.
why people are so afraid.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Well, afraid, concerned, baffled that this guy who really shouldn't be occupying this office is.
Yeah.
But there's a certain and a substantial part of the population that thinks he should be, and they think he should
know.
be because they feel like they've been let down or.
I saw some
isolated or
interviews
whatever.
lately with Trump supporters, and a lot of them just couldn't make the jump to Hillary.
Yeah,
So
no.
they knew they were taking a wild card chance, and this could go really bad, but they just couldn't do the Hillary jump.
Well, there's
There was a lot of Trump supporters that were Obama voters.
yeah. Well, this is a interesting story on that effect. I was at Central Market with Nita, and we pulled up in a parking place, and this Jeep next to me had this sticker on it that says "I love Trump, I heart Trump," right?
Mm-hmm.
And it had been taped on with 2-inch cellophane tape onto the window.
So nobody can remove it.
I removed it.
Oh,
Now, guess what was the bumper sticker underneath it?
was I love Obama?
No.
What?
Feel the burn.
Feel the burn. Yeah.
That says a lot right
yes.
there.
I've heard that too. I think there was a decent,
Yeah.
statistically significant number of Bernie
Yeah.
supporters that went Trump.
But you know what, folks? Here's the part that's going to be interesting. The Republicans and Trump administration, they're not going to have a boogeyman anymore. They don't have boogeyman.
Yeah.
They don't have Obama, and they don't have Hillary. Who's
Yeah.
their boogeyman going to be?
Yeah.
Are they going to keep talking and whining about this? Everybody's going to go, shut the fuck up.
They're going to have their 2 years. I think you're going to see a lot of grassroots blue come in at the. I don't know if they can overcome the gerrymandering, but I think you're going to see a potential sweep
Well, we'll see.
in 2018. But he'll get his 2 years,
Yeah.
and
So,
what?
so anyways, wait, see, we've done it again.
We
We
did.
started talking about podcasting. We get hijacked into this shit.
God
and
damn it.
it's easy. I know. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
But,
So what did you get out of the podcasting experience?
it was a huge learning curve.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing the editing. I had to learn that program. It was Adobe Audition. Audition? Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
Audition. And that's a real good program. But what I found out about that thing is so complex, but it's like using Photoshop or anything else. You get to where you can maneuver in about 2 to 5% of what the program will
It's
actually
like
do,
Microsoft
and you
Word.
can make it work.
Yeah, the average
you know?
person on Microsoft Word uses less than 10%. It's like
Yeah.
our brains. How much of
Yes.
your brain do you use? Remember the
Exactly. Yeah,
3%.
exactly. Yeah, as little as possible, as little as I have to, right?
Right.
And so that was a big deal. And then going to, and then doing the images, that was just pure play for me. That was
Yeah, that
just
was
fun.
You did some really good stuff.
Yeah,
on
and
that.
what I found out there is you can find any fucking thing you want. You want dancing monkeys? Just Google it, dancing monkey images, and they're there.
I know it's kind of a weird.
Yeah, and what's weird is you look it up and you pull up all the images and you're scrolling around. You scroll down a couple of pages and there's always going to be a chick with boobs. There's always going to be some naked chicks with boobs somewhere in there. I don't care what your search is.
If you go deep enough, you'll find the boobs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. And so, no, I mean, you really don't even have to go to that deep.
Really?
You know, any search that I did, there were always naked chicks or chicks with boobs or, something.
Yeah.
Butts, skimpy clothes, whatever. It's always chicks, never any dudes.
Right.
And so that was interesting. But I really enjoyed the 2 conferences that we went to.
Yeah.
Those were good. And they
Podcast
started here.
conferences,
Yeah,
podcast movement.
Podcast movement started here in Dallas, and then they moved off to Chicago, and I wasn't going to pay to go to Chicago.
Now Anaheim. This year's Anaheim.
Anaheim, oh, sure. And I'm sure the thing is going nuts.
Yeah.
And making money, and it's interesting to listen to people talk, and the thing that I got from that is most of the people that were up there, you go to talk to these people or listen to them talk about their podcast. It was a huge percentage of them that they said, we're not making any money.
Yeah.
So again, don't do this thinking you're going to get rich and make money off of it.
Yeah. I think unless you have, there's 2 types of podcasts. There's entertainment, there's business. So business, you can make leads. You can create leads out of a podcast, probably, things like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to do that, you're just using podcasts as a medium to sell.
Right.
That's all you're trying to do. And a lot of people do that. That's what What's-His-Face is. I bet he makes more money on selling softball bats and equipment than he does.
Yeah.
That's what he uses that for.
Absolutely.
And so that's what that is. And so if you've got something that you feel like you're really good at, you have a niche, go for that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Politics, sex, religions. Any final? So we've talked politics, I think. Here we are from the Obama to Trump, and we'll see what happens. What about religion? Any final? I think our theme has been, think for yourself, really.
Well, I think here's religion. I'm more negative on the big fundamental Bible churches than I've ever been.
Yeah.
I think, unfortunately, people gravitate towards those because they need something.
Right.
A lot of times it's community. A lot of times it's emotional support. Right. A lot of times it's something else. I don't know what it is, but people, not everybody, but a lot of people that go to these kind of check. They're looking for a community of like-minded people.
Right.
Okay. Which, a lot of people do. And I'm not a joiner, so it's never been.
One thing.
I freely admit that. I've never been a joiner, so I've never been looking for anything like that.
One thing I think that surprised me about religion, from a religion perspective, was this election. Politics trumps religion.
Yeah. It did on this election.
It absolutely did. And I didn't realize to the extent how.
And here we go again. But anyway,
I'm
exactly.
not going to go too far, but I didn't realize the extent how tied it was.
Yeah.
To political ideology.
Well,
I knew it was always in general, but it really trumped. You could take the most morally reprehensible person, and it didn't matter.
Yeah, and so you got somebody like Billy Graham Jr. or
Franklin.
whatever it is, Franklin Graham.
Yeah, well, he's the nutcase.
Yeah, going up and praying with the pussy grabber.
Right.
The self-professed pussy grabber
Yeah.
and so he's for some reason. He can eliminate, put all that aside.
Yeah.
Whether it's hatred of Hillary, who's now gone, boogeyman gone, bye-bye boogeyman, or whatever. And so then my hypocrisy light goes off.
Yeah. There's a ton of
where
hypocrisy in religion. That's the part I really.
Yeah, that's the part that drives me nuts.
I just don't see how. The story of Jesus, being compassionate to others and the poor, and I don't know. It's just so I hate the hypocrisy of organized religion.
Yeah.
And the whole concept. So if you were born in India, you'd be a Hindu. If you were born in Pakistan, you'd be a Muslim.
Yeah.
You're born so you just happen to be you're born into the right religion, and the other ones are wrong.
Yeah.
Exactly. Come on.
And I still have.
If you would have been born in Pakistan, you'd be a Muslim.
Even to this day, I still have never had a Jew, a Hindu, a Buddhist, a Lakota Sioux,
right,
or an agnostic or an atheist bang on my door at night, wagging their book of tails, trying to convince me that they had the right answers.
Right. Yeah.
It's always, and it's not.
There is
all,
no right
It's not all
interpretation.
Christian faiths, but it's certain ones
Well,
that
you
are
got
doing
the
that.
offshoots. You got
Yeah.
the Jehovah's Witnesses.
And
you
so,
got the Mormons.
so yeah, I think we're kind of in agreement on that. And so,
There is no religion, and there is no perspective, or there is no take on religion that's the right way.
yeah.
Okay? And if you have to, demonize the other,
Yeah.
you're in the wrong religion.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and Carl, what about sex?
Sex.
Oh.
Well, I don't know if we had did we have a philosophy around sex?
No, I thought we found it-
a lot of laughter in our
A lot
our
of
sex.
laughter.
Sex
It's like
robots
the swingers church.
yeah.
The swingers church was good. And then, and again, sometimes these things overlap, usually with sex and religion.
Yeah.
We haven't had any sex and politics. Well, we kind of did, but, not
Obama
so-
was so scandal-free. Really ruined that for us.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get some sex and religion
Oh, yeah.
coming up.
Oh, yeah.
In the years to come.
Because the Donald ain't going to be getting any.
I don't. Melena is kind of a
Melena.
blank slate.
Exactly.
I think she feels like,
No,
oh my
she
God,
really
what the hell
is.
did I get into?
Oh, yeah. That's why I think she's probably going to wind up staying in New York for the most part.
See, we're back to Trump on the
Yeah.
sex.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sex is. It's amazing. There's so much energy around it.
Yeah.
It's just a pleasurable thing.
Yeah.
And
There's so much energy involved
why
in
have
not
s-
talking about it
Right.
or avoiding it or
putting it in shadow,
putting it in shadows or wrapping it in
making it a bigger deal than it needs to be. And I
Yeah.
think if you suppress it, then it comes out weirdly. And we've got a lot of that because of the
Yeah.
suppression. I think my philosophy on sex is lighten up and
do it more often.
do it more often and get out of the dark with it. Get out of the shame and the guilt.
Yeah.
Because that just leads to abuse, and we see that a lot. With it always seems to be the guys, the politicians who are screaming the hardest about the gays,
Yeah.
are the ones found in an airport bathroom or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, really? Yeah.
I mean, so that's what it.
Yeah.
That kind of suppression leads to really ugly stuff. when it
Yeah, I
comes to
forgot
sex.
about that guy. Wasn't he a congressman or something?
Yeah,
Seemed like he was a
Idaho.
Republican or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of examples of that.
Yeah.
That changed in our 7 years. Gay marriage being
Oh,
legalized.
yeah. And that was a great thing to watch
Yeah, it
and
really
and
was.
have. And then the weed thing in
Marijuana,
Colorado,
Yeah,
Oregon, Washington, now California. I mean, I was going to say, can Texas be far behind? And I guess I answered my own question. Yes. It's
Shouldn't
not like
it be, though?
it's not like people in Texas aren't getting loaded.
yeah.
I mean, come on. It's just it would be nice to get.
I think, unfortunately, we got the real epidemic is this OxyContin stuff, and
Yeah.
I mean, we got a serious problem. We should
And the
switch-
interesting
just
thing,
switch
the
to
interesting
joints.
thing about OxyContin is you can track that shit.
Yeah.
It's a controlled substance.
Yeah.
You can track who orders it and then who prescribes it.
And it seems to be fairly epidemic.
Yeah,
They said there's more people on OxyContin than smoke cigarettes.
yeah.
I thought
And you
that
know
was
where
amazing.
it seems to be in rural Appalachia, Midwest is kind of
Yeah. Ground zero.
ground zero for this. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not everywhere else, but there's certain number of seems to be there more for whatever reason. Again, I think it's that group that
I think it's a
voted
very
for-
powerful drug, and you get a taste of it, and it can take over your life.
and yeah, and then it becomes
Then you got
expensive,
the-
and then you go to heroin,
Right.
and then you get heroin
Because
that's
heroin's cheaper than the OxyContin. Is that the reason?
Yes, and then this was a good one, and you know what heroin's being cut with now?
What?
an elephant tranquilizer that some sort. I think it's fentanyl, some sort of something.
Is that why
I
you see
forget
these
what it is.
people passed out?
Oh no,
in the
they're
car?
dying. They're fucking dying.
Yeah.
Because humans really are not supposed to take
Elephant tranquilizers?
Elephant tranquilizers, and you know where a lot of this is coming from? China and Mexico, and now I'm going to get one more dig on the internet. On
Okay.
you.
The internet is going
Okay.
to do it.
Because the dark web, what they do is on these sites where you can buy this stuff, what they post is, do not send this to the United States with FedEx and UPS and stuff like that, because they have tracking systems. If you're going to send it, how do you send it? Post office. Post office. United States Post Office does
Really?
not track this stuff. They don't have
So
a way
you're
of
saying
tracking.
FedEx has a way to pick up the.
Well, they know where they pick it up,
Oh, right. Oh, that's right.
right?
Right.
When they know where to pick it up, when they pick it up, and so the U.S. Post Office knows. So that's where and it was on NPR, and a lot of this stuff is just flowing right in through the post office.
Wow. That's what I don't know that
You want to
world.
privatize something? Privatize that motherfucker. In fact, get rid of it.
Or at least get the tracking on it.
And when you get rid of it, please, no more
Well,
junk
the problem
mail
with
to
getting
the
rid
house.
of it is there's places. See, that's the thing. There's places where a company's not going to go. A company's not going to spend X amount of dollars to service a town of 30 people. Are they?
What? Sure they do. People, you
Well,
live
there's
in a town of 30.
a lot of FedEx stuff that even in with our Shackley business that
Yeah.
go to the post office and then the post office delivers.
Yeah.
Because it's just not enough. It's just from a capitalistic standpoint. It's the same thing with cable
We can have
TV and
Amazon
rural.
drop boxes.
Amazon drones.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
no,
not saying that there's not a way,
drop
but I'm
boxes.
saying
Yeah. I
there
mean,
was a
that's
reason for the post office because
There was a reason for the post office back in the old days.
Yeah.
When people were
as long
cobbling
as
together
right.
trailers.
But there was
I mean,
not a
wagons.
cost benefit to service the rural part. Same thing with cable TV. There wasn't a cost benefit to
Yeah.
stick the cable
Yeah.
out in nowhere's land to pick up four
But
or
all
five
these
people.
little 30 towns of 30 people, they've all got internet for the most part and cable, and so they
Yeah.
can just order it online and have it shipped to them.
Yeah.
Does that mean they don't get something 5-6 days a week? Yeah. So you don't
No,
get your.
I'm not arguing.
you know.
But I'm saying why the post office had a place. I agree. The technology is advanced enough now that you could probably do away with.
And
the
that's
post
going to be
office.
one of those businesses that gets automated out. They're not
Yes.
going to ship those jobs to China or Mexico or anything, so don't whine about that order shit. They're going to get automated out. Should have been automated out.
Right.
So,
And that was the other thing we talked about: the tech and
yeah.
the future, and
Yeah, and I'm still. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I love about it. There's a lot of stuff that I don't.
Right.
And I'm still. I don't. It is not for me an end all be all.
But don't you
Anyway.
think that? So yes, cars will replace. Automation is going to replace a lot of jobs, but don't new jobs get created? People have.
Not to the degree. Well, that's part of the problem that we have. No, they're not
Depends on-
getting.
Well, it depends on how fast the system is in place to educate. There's an education process. Education's got to be lifelong learning now.
Well, it's always supposed to have been that, and that's another one of the things that they talk about in that Hillbilly Elegy book. He's surrounded in a neighborhood where his dad was a miner, his uncles are miners, his neighbors' dads are miners. They don't really see anything else,
But
any
why
other
doesn't
possibilities.
the miner move to the city where there's jobs?
Because that's where he was raised, and that's
Right.
where his
They don't
family
want him-
is.
they don't
Everything
want
they
him.
know was that way. Yeah, and so they don't, and I understand that. And they're not. You're not gonna get jobs into those areas that people don't want to
But
live. So they
you could
wind
make
up.
the same argument back in the 1800s. Let's say Boontown, USA was the home to wagon wheels, and the car came.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so that business went out,
Mm-hmm.
and if no new business came into that town, it was the same story.
And we don't. It may have been. We don't know. We don't have that kind of.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that happens
But-
always.
If you think about a lot of the jobs that have been and are going to be automated out, one of the things that I read recently about jobs that are being automated out is roughnecks on oil rigs. You know, those people make a lot of money.
Right.
But it's a real dangerous job, and
Yeah.
so they're automating a lot of those systems for pulling even more so than they already are. In which case, there's going to be fewer people making a living doing that.
Yeah.
Those jobs are not going to. Those people don't have college education. They're not going to be able to replicate that job. It's just like
No.
some of the other ones.
They're going to have to learn something new.
And just because new jobs are being formed that are baristas at Starbucks or Uber drivers, that does not replace that kind of income level. That's the problem.
Right.
Those jobs that make that kind of money are not.
So, and the answer is what? Because technology is going to continue to innovate. That's not going to stop.
I think that, to me, the job and one of the jobs is for people to become more self-sufficient and responsible for their own lives.
Create more streams of income, be more entrepreneurial in their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That requires a certain attitude and things as well.
And
All right.
more sex will help with that.
More sex. Yeah.
Yeah,
Boy, sex went all the way to.
Yeah. Stay home from church on Sunday and hump. You know?
There you go.
Yeah.
Kill two birds with one stone. And if you're not humping, then learn a new skill.
Yeah.
Okay? Because Americans do watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
That could be spent in front of a book or
Yeah.
on the internet.
Yeah.
Learning
Well,
skills.
that's what I'm starting
okay?
to watch
There
a whole
is
lot
that.
less news.
Yeah. Well, I think I want to close then thanking our loyal audience.
Both of them.
No, there's more than two.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys for, you gave us your attention, which
Yeah.
is one of the most valuable things
Yeah.
that you
You shared your
can give.
time.
You shared
Yeah.
your time with us. You listened to our crazy little banter.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate
Y'all
that.
keep talking to each other.
And I want to thank you. It's been a
Thank you
really fun ride.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed.
Well, we're going to still keep
yeah,
getting together.
we're going to
and
keep talking.
Yeah.
We're just not going to record it.
Yeah, so you're not going to get to hear it.
But it's an adventure, and life is an adventure, I think, and this definitely was one.
Yeah.
And I wish for everybody more adventures in
Yeah.
their life. Any other final words of wisdom? I'll let you have the last word.
I have no last word.
There you have it.
There you
Kind of encapsulates
Yeah,
the
pretty
whole
much
thing.
typical. Yeah.
All right. Peace.
Out.